Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a video of my Gramps Maine moose hunt, and I just wanted to do this kind of intro part here to tell the story a little bit better, so that way you guys know what's going on in the movie I'm going to be showing here a little bit better. If you haven't been following along, he got pulled in the Maine moose lottery for the September season. So if you're not familiar with Maine moose hunting, it's actually really hard to get drawn in the lottery. People go 20 years without getting a moose tag drawn, and so some people only go once or twice in the entire lifetime. So we were super excited when we found out that Gramp got his Maine moose permit, and even more excited that it was for that last week in September, which is the rut time frame here in Maine for moose. So it's a really fun hunt to go on. Moose are usually running around and they're coming into calls. He actually did get drawn a number of years ago now for a bull tag, but my cousin, who was a sub-permittee, ended up shooting that moose because it ended up walking by him and it was a real big moose. So that's just how that hunt panned out. So we really wanted to get my grandpa moose this year. We had a pretty good crew up there this year. It was my uncle, my two cousins, our friend Adam, obviously Gramp. So there's a total of 6 of us up there. We got up super early on Friday morning at 2 a.m. so that way we could get to this campsite that the guys had known about and have hunted out of for a few years, so they're really familiar with the area. It takes about 8 hours to get there. We did stop for gas, but we got there at 10 a.m. We were able to have one campsite for both the trailers that we brought, and then I just parked my Subaru wherever it would fit, kind of on a flat area there off the side of the road, and that worked just fine. So after we got the campsite all set up, we decided to make sure the guns were still sighted in. Guns still looked good, and then we pretty much spent the rest of the time just doing some scouting, just a lot of driving around, looking for tracks, looking for anywhere where the bulls had rubbed on trees, and we really weren't seeing that much sign. It didn't look like the rut had really kicked in at all. They were telling me that they had seen a lot more bull sign, like a lot more rubs on the trees, like in the alders on the sides of the road last year, and they were seeing a lot less this year. So that was a little discouraging. We were just thinking that the rut probably hadn't kicked off yet. And we did do a little bit of calling in some areas that we weren't really afraid of burning, just because the guys had a lot of spots where they had scouted in the previous years. So we just wanted to see if we could hear any bulls, and we were only able to get one bull to respond to us, which was on Sunday. I believe it was on Sunday. It was like the last day to scout, and then we saw one cow on the way back to camp, pretty close to camp actually, just running down the road. Really, that's all that we saw. Our hopes weren't really high going into the hunting season because we really weren't seeing that much sign, and we hadn't been seeing like any moose while we were up there. And it was really warm too. Like I think it was in the 50s and 60s the whole time we were scouting. So maybe it was just a little bit too warm for them. So day one wasn't too exciting. We just drove around and called. Didn't see anything, but we did end up being just a couple seconds late on a bull that crossed the camp road right as we had parked the truck, and our guy in the other vehicle was coming back to camp. We got back in the truck, drove back to where he saw that bull, and we tried calling, and we didn't have any luck with that. But that was the only excitement that we really had on day one. So on day two, things started to pick up just a little bit. It was a lot of the same type of stuff as day one, but we ended up seeing a cow like around noon or something like that. And we're pretty confident that there was a bull with her because we think we heard it grunt once, but it never grunted again, and it never came out of the woods following that cow. But there was a huge track in the road too, and it was right in some hard gravel road, and it was just a monstrous track. You could see the dew claws like way behind the hoof. We're pretty confident that there was a bull with that cow, but we never saw him. So then we did more calling and driving around and didn't have any luck really until the last hour of daylight. We actually ended up driving up on some people that we had met earlier in the week who had got their moose, and they were actually calling moose just for fun, just for practice. They had like 2 or 3 bulls going and 2 or 3 cows going, and so we asked if they would mind if we jumped in and tried to get one of these bulls, and they were happy to help. And we called them until dark, and none of the bulls would come in. We actually never saw a moose at all, but you could hear them grunting, and the grunts were probably like 150 yards away, and they were just kind of locked down. They didn't really want to come out. We decided it'd probably be a good idea to head right back to that same spot in the morning, because those moose probably weren't going to go very far if there was 6 moose in that area. So that's what we did. We woke up in the morning, we went right back to that same spot, probably parked 50 yards away from where we were planning to call. The dirt road that we were on kind of it's an L shape, so we were driving on the road going straight. It takes a right and forms an L. So we were planning to call right at the corner of the road there where it makes that turn. Once we got to the place where we're gonna call it, I looked down the road where that turn was, and there was a bull standing right in the middle of the road. And we couldn't really make out how big it was because it was just a few minutes after legal shooting light, so it was pretty dark out. But we could make out the antlers and the sun coming up in the background. But my Gramp had a hard time finding the bull in his scope, and it was just a little bit too dark to make that shot. It was pretty far away, so that bull ended up walking off the road. But we were trying to get him to come back onto the road, so we started grunting and did a little bit of calling, and eventually we started hearing some grunts pretty close, and we figured it was that bull that was coming back. And we called back and forth with that bull for probably about an hour. We were raking trees, grunting, doing some cow calls, and he was loving it. He was grunting right back, and we could hear the grunts getting a little bit louder and a little bit louder, but he was kind of hung up back there, so we weren't really sure if he was going to come in. But anyway, let's just jump right into the video so you guys can see what happens. That ain't bad.
Bring on the moose.
Nice.
Give him another one. Give him another one.
Woo!
Gramp, you did it. You did it.
Nice, Gramp. That's awesome.
Yeah, you hit him good.
Yeah, that was good.
That was
Wow,
cool.
that's a good one.
That was
Good job, guys.
Gramp.
Good job. I'm so glad you all came up with it.
You want this as a walk?
That's a pretty big bull.
Easily, that's bigger than the other one we shot.
Is it?
I think it's pretty damn close. I mean, that's mid 40s to 50, I bet.
Like it.
Grampy, this
Oh, yeah.
triple eye rake is very unusual in Maine. That's very rare.
What is?
The triple eye rake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's in Alaska.
Oh my God, we got a mountain.
We got an Alaskan bull. Oh, he smells like that rut pit I touched.
Yeah,
It does,
Now we
Jason.
can celebrate.
Huh?
Now we can celebrate.
Yeah, get the Jim Beam out.
He come in quiet. He stopped grunting.
That's why I could tell every time I was grunting, they like, maybe it was scaring the little ones off.
That son of a bitch was right by us. He was in the trees right next to us.
I honestly thought that's why I laid down that he was going to come out in the road in that bushes there.
I thought he was coming
in the ditch. Yeah. I was like, he's in the ditch. And it's going to get
That was so much fun.
That was fun.
Oh, and we have it all
glad
videotaped,
I'm
right?
so glad they were all
Everything.
here.
I know, I'm glad
That's the
too.
most damn fun. Everybody
Holy
was
smoke.
The nice thing too is it's going to be so easy to quarter. We'll just drag it out to the road. And we do it right in that turnaround.
We got it. Well, you got to stand him up like you do and get the right
all
picture.
day
that's
now.
true for you.
All rigs up.
We got all day. We don't have to hurry you.
I'm already winded.
Me too, Adam. Don't pull on your back, Grampy.
Yeah.
Silverback.
Don't tip
Silverback.
All right. How you doing? Good?
We're doing good.
And just keep it on video mode and we can all get in there.
Can you grab pictures out of video?
Yeah.
That's
Buzz,
nothing.
put your head up. Down.
You comb your hair, Gramp?
Yeah.
Are we on video again? So
Yep.
we can just. Okay, everyone look.
1, 2, 3, look.
Big smile, Ev.
I think we're good.
Even the dog is being very obedient for the
those
picture.
are good.
Okay, Grampy.
Probably.
Let him go.
Oh, where's he going?
Oh!
Is it fun?
It's really on me.
It's really on me.
That's why he shot my moose.
I know.
You never picked him up in the road up
Yes,
there?
I see him. Oh, no, I couldn't see him with my scope.
You couldn't?
No, I never found him. No, it's too dark.
That was worked out way better anyway.
I did.
He's far from the road anyway.
No, Adam's going to get a rope.
Shoot him. My shoulders can't take